Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. That's a rubbish introduction. Why do I always start like that? No. Hello, you. I always did like that instead. I know YouTube videos always start with please like, subscribe and all that nonsense. No. Forget all that. I'm here to chat. Yes. I've brought my chatting pants. And I'm sorry. Right, welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This time we are talking about the new Susan's War family ties. Now, there was a Susan's War some time ago, and the young War Doctor, Jonathan Carley's War Doctor, is on the box. But let's face it, this is all about the Sue. Okay, Sue? She's never called Sue. Why am I doing that? It's all about Susan. Now, there was a Susan's War some time ago, and at that point, the Doctor's great-grandson, played by Next Generation of McGann, character was killed. We know this, right? It's not nice, it's not good, and it's a bit heartbreaking, so it's not the sort of thing that we'll be revisiting often. It's like the death of Lucy Miller, spoilers. It's not something we'll be going back to, but all of these horrible events are what leads to the existence of the War Doctor. Okay, terrible things happen, and the Doctor thinks he can fix things by changing. Anyway, so this is 2.1 and 2.2. The next box is either going to be 2.3 and 2.4 or 3.1 and 3.2. Does that make sense? Because basically there's at least two more stories. I'm pretty sure they were all recorded at the same time. Let's do the synopsis thing, then we can have a chat. No Gallifreyan is safe from the Time War. While the Doctor resisted the call, his granddaughter Susan did her duty and signed up to fight the growing Dalek threat. 2.1 The Lost Son by Sarah Cassidy. Still reeling from meeting her grandfather back on Earth, Susan is assigned to assist a mother search for her son. Priestess Vesselina is the new ruler of her world, and someone on Gallifrey is keen to recruit her as an ally, but strange forces are at work on Materos, and Susan's empathy becomes a weapon to be used against her. Yeah, I can see that. So basically, Susan has her empathetic powers, which were, talked about in the TV show. She's definitely not regenerated. And I can't see them ever regenerating Susan until there is a point where they must recast. I think we're always going to have Carol Ann Ford playing this Susan. Or perhaps Susan is a mystery character and will always be played by someone who sounds like Carol Ann Ford. Obviously, that's down to Bigfinish. I don't know if anybody's in any of these spin-off media has ever come across a second regeneration or a third Susan. And I know on TV they've been going down that road and possibly talking about it. And I'm pretty sure if Susan is going to turn up on TV, they'll already have shot it for season 2. But that's not important. What is important is that this is Susan from the TV series, but obviously much, much older than she even was in the last time she met the 8th Doctor. Now we've got the actual 9th Doctor, the War Doctor, crossing his own time stream and coming back along his own time track in order to spend time sorting out issues within the Time War. Now that primarily happens in the second story, although you have got echoes of him speaking in this first story. But this isn't the Doctor Who box set. This is totally fixated on Susan because she is always going to be someone who's more of a talker, an arbiter, someone who has diplomacy as a skill rather than a warrior, which is kind of cool because you're seeing a different aspect, which is still feels a bit 60s heavy, which is great. And that's what we've got here. We've got Susan evolved, becoming more emotional, but she's still primarily always the same person. So she's sent to a world to help out. A world that the Daleks have previously kind of avoided or just ignored, which might become important. The planet is on the brink of a revolution, and it's just very, very well done. It is written around and to emphasise everything that makes Susan herself. Obviously, I don't want to give away spoilers. What I want to say is that this story is very good, but it's the second story that is more timey and wimey and has more, Jonathan Carley in it. The Doctor and Susan at odds with each other is a very, very interesting and fun dynamic to play with. Also, you've got various points of the story happening at various other times, and you've also got things that are kind of time loops going on. Or it could be argued that somebody's messing about with time. Either way, we've got The Golden Child by Peter Anghelides. A key ally to Gallifrey has winked out of existence. While Susan investigates the disappearance of this gifted politician and strategist, she finds someone else is also interested in the changed timeline. The interloper is her grandfather, but this version of the Doctor is from the future of the Time War, and he's not the man Susan remembers. So yeah, you've got the great dynamic of grumpy, very grumpy War Doctor, and then you've got the grown-up Susan, all trying to achieve the same ends, but not necessarily trying to achieve the same ends. And I don't want to go into any more depth than that. You've got a third Time Lord character who is present and is trying to sort things out because they remember a character from time and other people don't. You can, if you think about it, kind of come to the same conclusion, but it's the journey that matters. It genuinely is. And I, for one, absolutely loved this story. I listened to it on the way back from Hooverville, and it really ended the day well. I was very impressed by not just the performances, but the structure, and that's what's at the core of this story. People always forget about structure, and that is what makes or breaks, especially a time travel narrative. Because, yeah, the audience are often one step ahead, and as a writer you need to stay one step ahead of even that in order to make it look easy. And this story feels very fluid, very well executed, and I am very happy with it. I was surprised that there's only 2 stories on this box set, but I suppose releasing 4 would be the good old days of massive box sets, and releasing 2 and then another 2, well, that's a different thing. So we have got more Susan coming on either later this year or early next year, and I cannot wait. Here's the trailer, and decide for yourself. Until next time, be seeing you.
From Bigfinish Productions, The Worlds of Doctor Who, Susan's War, Family Ties.
That's the mission. Find a lost child.
It's diplomacy. Neutralize the threat, make Materos an ally.
I don't want Materos to be part of your time war.
That might not be a choice for much longer. Let go of Susan. She didn't consent to this.
You were warned, Gallifreyan. Take your hands off the priestess!
I'm not a fool. I can tell when footage has been doctored. Someone is covering up the truth here. Do you know who?
I'm not supposed to converse. I talk too much.
Because this is in my head. Too much. Longing to see you again. My mind is playing tricks on me.
No, it's not.
Alex. You're my Alex.
Susan.
I know that voice.
Nothing is ever as it seems.
You've crossed your own time stream. You shouldn't be here.
Lucky for you that I am.
Lucky? The war room can't find Maxor, and you don't remember him. No one does.
Except you. The assassination explains why Maxor isn't around in our future.
It doesn't explain why I still remember him.
Or why Maxor behaves the way he does. There's more to this than we've seen.
There's the difference between us, Maxor. I'm nothing like you.
You're right. Political careers end in failure, and yours is over. Mine is just beginning.
I am chair of studies, and I'm a government advisor. I think I know what Maxor needs. Who do you think you are?
Who do either of you think you are?
Oh. How long have you been there?
Long enough to hear you both mapping out my life for me.
We need Maxor in Gallifrey's future. We have to try again.
Do you know what you're doing, Susan?
Of course. I'm just not entirely sure what he's doing. I hardly recognize Grandfather now. What has the Time War done to him? What has he become?
Bigfinish, for the love of stories.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Everything discussed is the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. For early access to reviews, follow the show on YouTube or Twitter @TinDogPodcast. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.